Welcome if you're joining us for the recording of this class. Let's come to our yoga mats now. Okay, so make sure you have all your usual yoga paraphernalia that you like. Tonight's class will focus mainly on yoga postures that help to target into what's known as our kidney meridian. So the kidney meridian is this line of energy or this pathway that generally travels in the inside of the thigh or the inner line of the body here, up through the tailbone, through the hips and into the spine. And this meridian in particular is very well known for housing a lot of different things, one in particular being sort of our house of wisdom, if you will. And on the flip side, maybe on the not so positive side, it is also sort of the source area of where we house our worries, our anxieties, and our fears. And those are all very real things that I'm sharing with you now. We all experience a sense of worry, fear, anxieties, or doubts, or even feelings like perhaps we're not good enough, and we tend to question ourselves. So a lot of the postures we'll practice this evening will be targeting into a bit of the inner thighs. We'll do a little bit of hip work as well, some upper body that can target into the spine, but also great for relieving stress just in general. And also a couple of postures that will probably likely target into the front of the thigh area. So not everything will be concentrated into the inner thighs. We'll try to target into a few different areas where the kidney meridian tends to run. So we'll begin here just with a short meditation. Just come up to seated. Make sure you sit on some height. It's really important to sit on height just so that the knees can comfortably relax and that the feet and the ankles can be relaxed as well. If you need to slide support underneath one knee or two, that's absolutely fine. Put that there for yourself. Come to sit up nice and tall. Make a conscious effort here to really lift the spine up and out of your hips and your pelvis. Try to see if you can stack the shoulders nicely on top of the hips and the spine here. And of course, just notice and observe here for a moment, where is the head sitting on the shoulders? Is the chin slightly tucked in, or maybe the chin is jutting forward slightly? Just see if you can draw the head in, just a very subtle little amount. Relax your jaw and close down your eyes. Allow the sitting bones now to relax into the earth. Allow the space of your hips and your knees to soften. Feel your entire spine here, working from the base of your spine all the way up to the top. As you make your way up the spine, eventually reaching just behind the back of your skull, slowly now begin to inhale. And as you inhale, shrug the shoulders up towards the ears. And as you exhale, gently drop and release the shoulders. Again, inhaling, shrug the shoulders up towards the ears here. Exhale, drop and release. Inhale, shrug up. Exhale, release. One more time. Inhale, shrug up. Holding it here, holding the breath for a moment at the top of the exhalation. And now exhale, release. Shoulders relaxed. Spine long. Sitting bones grounded. Welcome yourself now to your practice. Welcome all that you are and all that you're feeling in this very moment here to the mat. Instead of leaving it out of the door, in fact, invite it in to sit with you. But when you invite everything that you feel and are experiencing now, try to see if you can avoid getting caught up with the stories, but merely approach these feelings, these thoughts from a more observational standpoint. Know that you are not your thoughts. You are not your worries, your fears, or your anxieties. There's more to you than that. And these worries, fears, or anxieties are not shackles that you're burdened to. They're merely a part of your experience of being a human. And very, very slowly now, if the awareness has gone elsewhere for a moment, draw it back in mindfully and gently. And I invite you now to silently set an intention for your practice this evening. What is your reason? What is your intention for your practice tonight? Seal that intention now close to your heart and your mind. And always know you can come back to this source of energy to keep you focused and to keep you on the path that you need to be on. And slowly now begin to blink open your eyes, letting light enter back into the head. And we'll begin in our first posture here this evening, in our butterfly pose, our first forward bend. So come to sit on your buttocks. If you prefer to sit on height in this pose, that's absolutely fine. If the ankles are feeling tender on the floor or anything of that nature, feel free to actually provide support underneath the ankles. If a little folded blanket or even a pillow or even something higher like a bolster can sometimes feel quite nice. Move the heels away from the inner thighs, but not too far away that you're not at least feeling some sensation in the inner thighs. So you might actually be exploring drawing the heels in a little bit more than you normally do, but not too tight that you're feeling a sense of pressure deep into the hip. Sit up nice and tall here to begin. Inhale. On your exhalation, begin to round your spine forward. Come into your forward bend here. So as you come to land here in your first pose, in butterfly pose, just begin to notice from a more physical aspect where you're holding the tension this evening. Where are you feeling sensation? Where are you also maybe feeling a sense of pressure or compression in the body? When we take the time to do this, we are making a point of our wellness and making it number one, becoming a cognizant and aware of where we're at today. And then perhaps on a more mental and emotional level, while you're here in butterfly, notice and observe where you're at on that level today. So however you are today, physically, mentally, emotionally, it's okay to be as you are. If anything in particular feels a little bit more loud or pronounced than other areas, this is, of course, the opportunity to soften those areas, whether physical, whether mental, or whether emotional. Take one more deep breath here in your butterfly pose. And slowly, on your next inhalation, begin to draw yourself back up. Move very slowly, move with care. Take a moment here to just extend the legs out in front of you. Maybe sit back on the hands if it's okay to do so. Maybe even slightly lift the chest up towards the sky. Take a nice deep inhalation. Exhale, release. Become aware of the shifts that have occurred in the body. Notice and see if there's any residual achiness or tenderness after this forward bend. Sometimes that very well can be the case. So just notice and observe that. And know that that feeling, that sensation is temporary. Much like feelings of anxiety, worry, and fear, things are always temporary. It's always a snapshot in time. Nothing will be forever. So if that's something that you're working on now, know that that too will also pass. Making our way into half butterfly. Please extend the right leg out to the side. Bend the left knee. Place the sole of the foot either in the inner thigh area. You can hug that foot wherever you want in, if it's closer in towards the pubic area, or maybe the foot is more or less in line with the right knee. If you need to place support underneath the left knee here, if you find it's hiking up pretty far here, that's your choice. You can place it there. Flex the sole of your right foot if you're feeling any pulling sensation in the knee here. We want to protect the architecture of the knee joint. That's important here. Sit up nice and tall. Inhale. On your exhalation, please fold forward. Now, I have you all folding down through center here first. What we're looking for is to target actually this time a little bit more into the hamstring area, but there might also be some pull or slight pull into the inner thigh. If folding down through center in this way is not servicing you and meeting that target area, now you can actually begin to walk the upper body over to the right leg and fold over the right leg if that's more appropriate for the body today. So just experiment as you're folding forward. How do you need to place the upper body? So in this practice, as I mentioned in the beginning of class, we're working into the kidney meridian, which is our house of wisdom, but also the house of anxiety, fear, and worry. And fear is all something we can relate to, but it can also manifest in other areas as well. It could be something like loss of, personal power. Maybe you have the lack of incentive, whether it be at work or in your relationships, or it could be even lack of incentive even within your yoga practice, to bring it back to yoga. It could also look like a lack of endurance as well. And I don't mean endurance necessarily on a physical level. It could be endurance to manage the relationships within the office that you work at, or if you're working from home. It can be endurance in so many different ways. And the yoga itself, particularly the yin, because we're here in these poses for some time, again, is an opportunity to identify what those fears and those worries are, to sit with them. Hence why I invited you to envision everything that you're experiencing right now in your day to sit with you. Even if they're not fears, worries, or anxieties, they could be the opposite of that. To, at the end of the day, bring us to a greater sense of wisdom. Rather than trying to block out the fears and the anxieties, we can invite them into the yoga practice and actually sit with them, work with them, and take the opportunity to soften them. Just like a tight muscle, just like tension in the body. Those more psychological things also need time to stretch. And slowly on your next inhalation, whether you were folded down through center or the right leg, begin to draw yourself back up. Just sit back here on the hands here for a moment. Lift the chest up towards the sky. Inhale. Exhale, release. Let's move right to the second side, this time extending the left leg out the side, bending the right knee. Support yourself as necessary here. I know for myself, personally speaking, I tend to want to actually place support underneath this knee because it just needs a little extra TLC. And honor that in your body. If the side is different, you need to adjust accordingly. Flex the sole of the left foot if there's any pulling going on in the knee. Inhale here, sit up nice and tall, lengthen the spine. Exhale, begin to fold and round the spine forward. Now again, target area is we're looking for a pull into the back of the leg, the hamstring area, but also feeling and looking for some sensation in the inner thigh. If folding down through center is just not for you, explore actually walking the upper body over to the left leg, to the extended leg. And whatever you did on the first side is not necessarily going to apply on the second side here. So just honor and respect that. And of course, support yourself as necessary. If the head and the neck are getting tired, you can always slide pillows or bolsters underneath the forehead to support you. As you settle here in this side, come right into that nice slow paced breath. Become very curious and observant, not with just necessarily that's coming up physically, but also what's coming up in the mind as well. And as many of you know, or maybe you don't know, this is a friendly reminder that practicing yoga, and sitting in stillness, or even practicing meditation is not about stopping our thoughts. And it is impossible to stop our thoughts because we typically have about 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day. So trying to stop them for an hour is not necessarily realistic. But what is realistic is practicing the art of not getting caught up with the stories, not owning the stories, the fears, the worries, whatever they are, as if they were a part of you. But also giving the mind and the body an opportunity to work through those, to soften them, to make them not as loud as maybe they are today or any other day. And slowly, now as you inhale, begin to draw yourself back up. Extend both of your legs out in front of you here for a moment. Sit back onto the hands. Lift the heart space up towards the sky. Inhale. Exhale, release. What's feeling here in your rebound? Become observant and curious how both sides of the body feel here. And slowly sitting yourself back up. Let's make our way onto all fours for our melting heart pose. If you want to utilize support here for our upper body, feel free to do so. You might like to use pillows. Bolster is great as well. And I'll give you an option as well, or variation within the arms that you can take. Today, myself in particular, I feel it would be great to use support underneath my arms, so I'm going to do that. So from all fours position, you're going to begin to walk your upper body forward, your hands forward in front of you. Today, I'm placing support underneath my elbows. You don't have to. And we're allowing the heart space to melt down towards the earth, but not so much in a way that the front ribs are collapsing forward. Try to just draw the front ribs in just a little bit. The head will more or less be in between the arms. If you're not using support today, the forehead will actually be on the floor, or maybe you have it on some support. If the arms are out straight in front of you, that's an option. You could also widen the arms, but you may actually like to experiment with bringing the palms together here and bending the elbows so that the base of your palms are more or less now in line with the back of your skull. So just find a variation with the arms here that you want to play with. And also make sure that you're finding some variation here with the lower body. So you might like the idea of tucking the toes or not. If there's any pressure going on in the knees, make sure you pad the knees. Target area here is the upper spine, the armpits, the shoulders, the chest. So as you settle here into your melting heart pose, again, much like our other poses, become observant. Notice how and where you're holding your tension here in the body. Notice what's coming up for you in the mind. Slowly, slowly. If you had the elbows bent and the palms together, mindfully release the arms down towards the earth. And on your next inhalation, one hand at a time, begin to walk the hands back in towards you, back to your tabletop posture. And we're just going to take a rebound here in a wide-legged child's pose. So bring the big toes together to touch, widen the knees and thighs as wide as is appropriate for your body. Maybe slide a pillow or a bolster in front of you and just come to rest here in your little ball. The arms don't have to be extended far in front of you. You can just draw the elbows in towards the body, or you might even like to just drape the arms along the side of the body here by the knees. Your choice. Just take a moment here to rebound out of your melting heart pose. The effort is relaxed. Inhale slowly. Exhale, release. And slowly on your next inhale, begin to push yourself back up. Move any support out of the way here. And please come to sit down on your buttocks as we make our way into loose shoelace pose. So we're coming into a hip opening posture. If this pose isn't for you, I will definitely present you with a second option that will similarly target into the same area of the body. So we'll begin in loose shoelace by actually sort of moving the shin and the left leg just slightly away from the body. You want to make sure that you're flexing the sole of your left foot. And then very mindfully, with the help of your right hand, pick up that right ankle, place the right hand just underneath your right knee, your left hand underneath your ankle here. We're just going to gently begin to rock the knee side to side, just feeling into the hip space here, feeling what's available. And then go ahead when you're ready, mindfully place the right ankle on top of the left knee and allow, if you can, as much as possible to relax that right knee down towards the bottom left ankle. Now, it's very, very possible that some of you look like this with the knee hiked up quite high. That's absolutely fine. What we're looking for here is to actually target into the outer right hip and deep into the buttock as well. Very similar sensation in, say, a sleeping swan or a pigeon pose. Just another way of doing it. If you want to slide support underneath the right knee, absolutely fine to do so. You might even actually like placing support like books or yoga blocks in front of you and propping up that right leg on top of it. Now, this pose itself, mechanically, requires a fair amount of external rotation in the femur. Some of you externally rotate a fair amount. Some of you externally rotate very little, and that's fine, that's normal. If you're feeling sensation sitting up right here, that's great. If you want to begin exploring actually folding over the legs, you can do that. If this is just not your pose and you get no stretch or sensation in the target area, please come to lay down on your back in a reclined pigeon. Both knees are bent. Place the right ankle on the left thigh. Hug the knees into the chest. You can interlace the fingers behind the left knee or wherever you feel comfortable placing the hands. Again, very similar area of the body that we're targeting into. So if loose shoelace is just not for you, reclined pigeon is a nice alternative. And if it's difficult to hug the knees in towards the chest, for a variety of reasons, it can be anything, you can always just slide support underneath the sole of your left foot and prop the feet up that way to encourage just sort of a natural drawing in of the knees. Okay? Nice deep breaths. Notice and observe what's going on here on the hip and the buttock of the right side. And slow deep breaths. Every pose is an opportunity to sit with stillness or contemplation. Every pose is an opportunity to soften any edges that might feel quite sharp and pronounced right now. And slowly, slowly, in your next inhalation, begin to take the slow and gentle journey out of your chosen pose. If you were laying on your back in reclined pigeon, just mindfully release the legs, extend both the legs down the mat. If you were in loose shoelace like I am, just very mindfully pick up the ankle and the knee, just gently rock the knee side to side, and then very mindfully place the leg back down on to the earth. We're going to go right to the second side with this hip opening or hip opener target area of the body. So come into your chosen pose here on this side. Just honor and observe what kind of support you need to provide your body here. And just accept and become aware that just because I look this way in this pose, you may not look the same way. It has nothing to do with you being not experienced of a yogi or vice versa. It just has to do with physically how you're naturally aligned within your femur and your hip socket, especially in poses like this. It's very normal for that knee, that left knee here, in this case on this side, to be hiked up a fair amount. Just could be that you're hitting bone on bone compression and the knee will never come all the way down. Okay. Again, target area is the left hip and left buttock. And if you need to actually do the other posture on this side, that might be very real for you as well. And if you were folding forward on the first side, here in shoelace or loose shoelace, maybe you're not folding forward as much for the second side. And you'll notice that in yourself here, how you're carrying your tension on the right and the left hip. Deep breaths. Deep breaths will be key here in this hip opener. Very, very slowly on your next inhalation, begin to take the slow journey out of your chosen hip opening pose, whether reclined pigeon or loose shoelace. Mindfully release the top leg off the bottom, maybe gently rock side to side in the hip if you like, before you place the foot and the shin back onto the earth. If you're laying on your back, just feel free to lay down, rebound here. If you are on your buttocks, just sit back under the hands, maybe point and flex the soles of the feet, or you might even actually like to take sort of a seated window shield wiper leg movement side to side. That can feel sometimes like a nice moving rebound to take afterwards. And even if you're in reclined pigeon, if you want to take window shield wiper legs, that's fine as well, laying down on your back. So just doing that a couple of times. And mindfully coming back through center. We're going to make our way now into cat tail pose, or cat pulling its tail pose, it's called. So very important pose for all the cat mamas out there. Come to lay down on your right side. And I want you to lay down just like you would at the beach, wherever you go, if you like to lay down at the beach. Just imagine as though you're soaking in all that lovely sun. And using your top leg here, so that would be your left leg, I want you to just mindfully lift and extend that leg a little bit and place it out to the side. So we're kind of like using the leg here like a bit of a kickstand, if you will. Keep the head supported with your right hand. That will be important. Now, on your next inhalation, go ahead and begin to bend the right knee, reach back and grab a hold of your right foot, your ankle, wherever the hand lands on the foot, you can grab it. If you're having a hard time reaching for the foot, feel free to use, say, a belt from your pants, a scarf, or even a yoga strap if you have it. Will help to draw that foot in towards the body. Now, a couple of things here. you might like to wing the right knee out to the side, meaning more off to sort of the left side, so behind you. Or maybe you're drawing the knee a little bit more in towards that extended left leg. We're looking for just a bit of stretch and sensation here on the top of the right thigh, so the quadricep on the right leg. Of course, with the leg on the left here, the left leg extended in this way, you might also naturally feel some pull down the outer side of the left leg. It really depends on how you're holding your tension today. But the main target area here is the quad on the right side. If that hand is getting a little bit tired, we're not here long, but if you like, you can always rest the head just into your arm here if you release your arm down towards the earth. So that's an option. And I have to use my phone as my clock sometimes because my watch is on my other hand. So if I let go of my foot, that's it. I have to go out of the pose. So if you see me using my phone, that's why. It's my second clock. Really what I need to do is just put clocks all over the walls. That would probably serve me better. Nice deep breaths. Good, we're not here long. So on your next inhalation now, very, very mindfully, slowly with control, just squeeze the quad of the right leg and then slowly release the foot, the ankle down towards the earth. Place your left hand on the floor in front of you for support. Inhale, draw that left knee back into stack here on the right for a moment. And please go ahead and just simply roll over onto your left side now. I will not be rolling. I want to continue facing you, so I will flip over onto the other side. You don't have to though. You can simply just roll. So we'll come into it on the second side here. Prop your head up here with your left hand. Stack the legs on top of each other here to begin. Lay down as though you were laying on the beach. Maybe not today. Today's not an ideal day. On your next inhalation, just lift up your right leg, extend it out to the side here. Kind of plant it and ground it through like the kickstand of a bike. When you're ready, very mindfully begin to bend the left knee, grab a hold of the foot or the ankle. Breathing here. Support the head in a way that makes sense for you. Feel free to experiment with how the knee is placed. So maybe you are able to move the top of the thigh and the knee in different areas on the mat. Experiment with that. Quadricep is the target area here on the left side, top of the thigh. Notice and observe how this side of the body is feeling here in the pose. Breathe into any tension or resistance. And again, that tension and that resistance may not be just physical. Maybe it's coming up for you in other ways. breathe into those areas as well. They need it just as much as the physical body. Take one more deep breath here. On the exhalation, just ever so slightly squeeze the quadricep of your right leg, just so you're not completely releasing the leg down towards the earth, and then slowly with control, release the knee, the shin, the foot down towards the earth. Place your right hand on the floor. Very mindfully inhale, draw that right leg back on top of the left, and please come to now roll on your back. We're going to make our way here into a gentle little reclined twist. Very mindfully bring the arms out to shoulder height beside you. Bend both of your knees. Place the soles of the feet on the floor. Beginning here with a twist to the left, pick up your hips a little bit, shift them a little bit over to the right side, and then drop both of the knees into the chest and allow the knees now both to splay all the way over to the left side of the body. You can keep the arms here in shoulder height, or you can place them in a way that feels more supportive for where you're at today. You might even like to actually place the left hand on the outer right thigh, just to help promote a sense of grounding and to give yourself a little bit of adjustment here and maybe additional pressure that might feel good in the body. There doesn't need to be an intense effort here in this twist. I'd like to invite you to bring in a sense of ease and softness here. This is a lovely twist for the spine. Sometimes students can feel a gentle pull along the lower back, the outer thigh. You might also be feeling gentle sensation into the abdominal organ area. One more deep breath here. And slowly, slowly, as you inhale, allow the feet to meet the floor and slowly draw yourself back up with the soles of the feet on the floor. As you come back up through center, pick up the hips again, shift the hips back through neutral. And we're going to go right to the second side in that twist. Pick up the hips this time, just shift them a little bit over towards the left side. Hug the knees in towards your chest and splay the knees out to the right side. Position the hands in any way that feels supportive for your body. And if you want to place the right hand this time on the outer left thigh, giving yourself a little bit of pressure and adjustment here, you're welcome to do that. Take one more deep breath here. And slowly as you inhale, allowing the feet to press into the floor as you draw the knees back up. Pick up the hips, shift the hips, the lower back through center. And just for a moment here, hug the knees in towards the chest. Separate the knees and thighs nice and wide. Lift the soles of the feet up towards the sky. Maybe you're grabbing a hold of the big toes, the feet of the ankles, and just gently rock side to side here in a happy baby. Just finding here some solace and some peace in this happy baby. Returning more to a childlike state when maybe when you're born, you don't consciously have any worries or anxieties or fears yet. You're coming into this world a little bit more of a blank slate. And just coming back through center, just feeling the pose here for a breath and stillness. On your exhalation, very mindfully release the feet and the ankles down towards the earth, and slowly now begin to extend the legs down the mat as we make our way into our final posture of the evening, Shavasana. Allow the body now to be very heavy and very settled. Invite the body and the mind to gently rest. Inhale one last time here deeply. Exhale, release out through the mouth. Feel now all your worries, fears, or thoughts that don't serve you, your purpose, to soften. Invite now the body and the mind to soften. Very slowly and mindfully, take a deep conscious breath, awakening the body and the mind gently. Begin to wiggle all your fingers and all your toes. Rotate your wrists and your ankles. Bring the arms overhead. Give yourself a nice big stretch here on the earth. Maybe a deep breath or a yawn. And gently bend the knees in towards your chest. Give yourself the most loving and generous squeeze here. Rocking side to side, if you wish, to massage the lower back on the floor. And slowly now, please roll to your preferred side. And gently push yourself up to seated, sitting tall with the eyes closed, much like you did in your seated meditation in the beginning of the practice. As you sit tall, just come to notice and feel how you are. The body, the mind, and the energy. Listen and feel closely. Listen and see the shifts that may have occurred in this practice. Yoga is a way to freedom. By its constant practice, we can free ourselves from fear, anguish, and loneliness. That's a quote by Indra Devi that I hope you find to be useful to help close our practice. Mindfully now bring the palms together in an Anjali Mudra at the altar of your heart. Bow your head down towards your hands. Inhale here into the heart space. Exhale, release. Thank you, my beautiful students, for sharing your wonderful practice with me this evening. I hope you found this practice to be beneficial, therapeutic, and maybe perhaps healing. The light in me honors the light in all of you. Namaste. Thank you, lovely ladies. It was so good to see you. It was my pleasure to guide you through this practice this evening. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit more soft physically, but also within the mind as well. And don't forget, we have class on Thursdays in person, so make sure you sign up for that class ahead of time. There seems to be a bit of a wait list for that class at times, so make sure you get in your sign up early for that. And yeah, I'm going to come over to the screen and turn off the video just so I can see all your lovely faces, because I always like to see all of you. Oh.